Hey, somebody's got to find the ornament boxes. You did? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to the Professional Noticer.
What is the name of the Lone Ranger's nephew's horse?
Here, you and I will use common sense and all the wisdom we can muster to move beyond what is true and go all the way to the truth. With listeners now in 101 countries around the world. Welcome, Austria. Hey, Austria. I am the Professional Noticer.
It's that time of year when the best things of all happen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. As the Professional Noticer, it's my job to professionally notice something, of course, and I will do it for you. Man, nothing's off limits. So what's your question? Got something in business for us? Spiritual issues, popular culture? We even tackle the odd conundrum like, did Pavlov think of beating his dogs every time he heard a bell? My purpose here today, and with every show we do, is to play the part of a best friend or coach. I want to help you live the life you would live if all your toughest questions were answered. The Professional Noticer is sponsored this week by my friends at growingdeer.com. If you already watch Growing Deer episodes, or if you regularly visit the growingdeer.com website, you already know why I'm a fan. I am learning stuff just like crazy. I mean, I watched this show on deer and reaction time the other day. It blew my mind. Their weekly show arrives in my email box every Monday morning, but it's then posted on YouTube. I subscribe there too, of course, on Thursdays. But the wildlife biologist that hosts the whole thing is Dr. Grant Woods. And Grant has become a buddy of mine. He hosts the whole program, as I said, and the subjects range from scientific tips about nutrition to providing the right crops for deer to reach their antler potential, which is something that a lot of guys that spend a lot of time in the woods, we are curious about that. We wonder, how does this happen? Where does this come from? Why are, some deer, why do they have such small antlers and larger bodies, and some have relatively small bodies and large antlers, and then you get in Wisconsin, it's like, did they put antlers on these cows? What happened? And so it is curious to hear the different things that go into this and what you can actually do on your own property. I also love hearing recently about prescription fire. To hear about all the wildfires in different parts of the country and understand how that can be prevented by prescription fires, smaller fires, and all the massive benefits about saving the animals, saving the wildlife, and saving the big trees too. So it's just great stuff. So come on, you guys. Dr. Grant's wife, Tracy, is on there quite often, as well as her daughters, Raleigh and Ray. And a bunch of the guys, the interns. It's just great show. Whether you're an outdoor person or not, certainly an outdoor person. Okay, so do them a favor. I'm just telling you, send them a link to growingdeer.com. Subscribe. It's free, and it's just awesome. Okay, growingdeer.com. All right. Well, that was an observation. And, that's kind of what we do here, observations and answers. I deliver observations. This is my lot in life, but you provide the questions, okay? Always remember the quality of your answers can only be determined by the quality of your questions. So just know that I'm sitting on go here. I'm ready to field a question from you, okay? Write me. The email is theprofessionalnoticer@andyandrews.com. And listen, if we use your question, we would love to send you your choice of the Guided Traveler Experience, which is over 8 hours of live video seminar, or you could choose the 100-Year Parenting. It's a collection of 53 videos between 10 and 20 minutes. And this is fun, good stuff. And whether you're actively parenting or passively parenting or coaching, or whether you have employees or what, maybe parenting, Matt, wasn't such the great name for that because people have used it way out of the boundaries. There's so many NCAA football coaches that use that. Their whole coaching staffs watch that and use that just because dealing with other people, really. And so, anyway, I'd love for you to have it sometime. Hey, our first question this week is from Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, Andy. My wife and I have enjoyed your books and podcast for some time now. I frequently mention your insight when I'm discussing topics with others, especially when it comes to parenting. My question for you has to do with work, though. Bosses throughout my career, some have been so-so when it comes to their managerial skills. Some have been good managers. My last boss was by far the best supervisor I've ever had. He met with his people weekly on an individual basis to understand what we were working on, get our input on things, let us know his expectations, and just visit about life. He knew my strengths, my weaknesses, my goals, and he knew me. I realize I was spoiled having him as a supervisor for 3 years. My current boss, however, is on the other end of the spectrum. Include the annual evaluation meeting, and that's it. I don't need constant oversight, but showing some interest in the work I'm doing would go a long way. I have a hard time talking to him about anything because he turns every conversation back to him. This is what he did this weekend. This is what he likes. These are his plans. Get to know people, so I'm not saying that I don't want to know about him, but I've noticed that most of the time he doesn't hear a thing I say because he's responding before I finish. In one of my evaluations, he asked how he could be a better supervisor. I got about 5 words out before he went on to tell me about something that apparently my few words reminded him of. And when he finished, he thanked me, and that was the end of the evaluation. One last example was when I found out about my pay increase for the year. I'm used to my boss sitting down and going, they're giving me and why. My current boss walked into my office, set an envelope down, said thank you, and walked out of my office. I've never been fired, but part of me wondered if this is how it happens. I opened the envelope and found a typed letter that said what I was getting for a raise. Andy, my question for you is how do you let your boss know that they have horrible management skills? I like my job and the organization I work for. I would love to teach my boss how to be a great boss, but I'm not sure how I should go about bringing that up or how it would come across if I tried to give him pointers. Your insight is always appreciated. Thank you and take care.
Jeremy, hey, thanks. Listen, I think I'm probably a lot like you. I think I would probably like to be treated like you want to be treated. But I got to say, it's not a right or wrong thing. It's probably a preference. Now, I agree with you in that there are some things that your boss probably needs to tighten up on, but that's going to be up to his boss. I'm not sure. I mean, I have several comments, but as for your question, you got down to a question and then you said, how do you let your boss know that they have horrible management skills? Okay, how do you let your boss know they have horrible management skills? You do it as you walk out the door on the last day you intend to be at the job. That's the only way you're going to let this guy know or let anybody know they have horrible management skills. And, I'm going to say again, I think some of this would have to be perspective, not even really opinion, but more perspective. And I think I can give you some here, just going through some of what you said. I took a few notes as you were talking. And again, if I were you, I was treated the way you've been treated, I would feel exactly like you have felt. All right. But also I'm able to pull back a little bit and look at us, look at you and me as we sit there and are treated like this. And there's a couple of things that occur to me. One is there is a lot that we can really take advantage of here. Now, I'm not saying that we exploit something. I'm just saying it's just like jujitsu or judo or something where you're using somebody's power and just kind of turning them and letting them use their own power and, turning it and using it against them. Or maybe that's not a good analogy because you're not against your boss. You want your boss to like you. You want to work with your boss. I'm assuming you want to keep your job. But here's what I want to say. When you get to the point where you say that you have a hard time talking to him about anything because every conversation turns back to something about him. It's like what he did this week and what he likes and what are his plans. Okay, so let me say this, Jeremy. I'm assuming that you are not wanting to have this guy as like a friend, right? I mean, you're not cultivating him for friendship. This is a business relationship that you have because they put him in his position and he's over you. And so in that case, you either leave the job if you don't like it, or you learn to get along. And I think there are ways that you can get along easily without taking up too much of your time and without being insincere or anything like that. And that is, man, as much as I talk, if I find somebody that wants to talk about themselves, go for it. I mean, I want to ask some questions that'll get people talking about themselves. And so you've got a guy here who wants to talk about himself. And so there's different things to look at here. You don't necessarily think, you don't have to think, because I know people who say, well, he's probably just an egomaniac. Not necessarily. Maybe he talks about himself a lot or talks about what he does because at home nobody does. You ever thought about that? At home, nobody asks what he does. Nobody asks what he thinks about. Nobody asks, what's fun to him. Maybe maybe you guys at work are the only people he can talk about what he did. It's just a thought. But if somebody wants to talk about that kind of stuff, you want to build up whatever that is. Not because he's your boss, just because he's a person. Now, if you can't be sincere with it, if you can't be, I'm not saying you have to be best friends with the guy, but I am saying even if you have no interest in rock climbing or rocks or mountains or ropes or anything, and the guy is telling you this story about how he's halfway up this mountain is just unbelievable. You can say, oh my gosh, good for you. That is incredible. Wow. Oh, man, I would never do that. That's just awesome. Good for you. You can make somebody feel good about what they're doing. All right. And I find a lot of times that the people who are best at that get promoted into other situations quickly. It's just because people like them, they encourage, and it's just a way of talking to people instead of sitting there thinking, God, this guy, is he going to talk about anything but himself? Now, somebody else might point out that I would not do this. Okay. But somebody else might point out that if you notice so much that he's wanting to talk about himself, if you're noticing that so much, somebody else might point out that it must be obvious to you that he's not talking about you, which must be what you want to talk about. And I know that the answer to that would be, well, he's my boss. It's my evaluation. He's supposed to talk about me. I'm sorry, Jeremy, but the 7th grader comes out in me at times like these. And the 7th grader in me says, are you kidding me? If I'm going into an evaluation and the boss wants to tell me about rock climbing and fishing and slap me on the back and laugh, and then I walk out and I get a great evaluation, that's good with me, right? That's good with me. The 7th grader in me says, if she's going to keep me after school, and then after school, she's just going to tell me that I'm a good kid and that she just wanted to give me some candy and just, talk for a few minutes, and then I'm good with that. Okay. Because the alternative is not good. So, I'm like, if I'm going in for an evaluation, hey, laugh all you want. Tell me all the stories about yourself that you want. Now, I sense, and I'm sitting here talking to you, Jeremy, I sense you kind of sitting there listening going, I don't think Andy understands what I'm saying. I'm serious about my job here. I'm serious about my position and what we do. And I want to have an honest evaluation. I really do. Now, let me tell you something, Jeremy. There are people who are more and less serious about work than others, as you know. I don't think you have to be more or less serious. I think you owe the best you can do. I think you owe that. But I also think you can have fun as you go along. Now, I also think that there is the possibility of a new boss in town. I always remember the story a friend told me a long time ago, and he was involved with an organization of people, and it was just a one constant mess after another, and it was one of these kind of things that it could have been so great. It was set to help so many people. It looked like it could. And every time you would look at it, you just kind of went, well, man, they're a month away. They're a couple of months away from really just knocking this out of the ballpark. And this would stretch on for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And all of a sudden, now I'm just kind of casually watching, right? But all of a sudden I hear that my friend has been promoted to CEO, and this place catches fire, and it's just going crazy. And at some point, I talked to the guy and I asked him, I said, what was the turning point for you? What happened with this company? He said, I never really saw myself as that CEO type or whatever type that is. He said, but man, I was so distraught. I used to just pray at night, God, please send us a leader. Please send us somebody. Just send us a leader. And he said, I just prayed that. And he said, all of a sudden, I woke up one night, and it was as if God had tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, it's you, okay? You're the leader. Go. Come on, go. You're sitting here and saying, send me a leader, and it's you. I have sent them a leader. Other people are praying for this too. It's you. Go. And so, Jeremy, you know a lot about this. You know a lot about what a great supervisor should be. You know what a great leader should be. So help this guy. Help this supervisor who is horrible. If you think he's horrible, help him. Teach him. You watch. He'll get kicked upstairs. Then they'll put you in the position. And please don't tell me, oh, well, I wouldn't want to help somebody that's not very, come on now. Don't get into that. Let's keep our eye on each other. Keep our eye on a home run for each other and figure out who we can help. You will never go wrong helping people up and down the line. You help people as you're moving up. What's that old saying about you're going to see the same people on your way down that you see going up, so treat them nicely. And but that's just the right thing to do, right? And so I think that the perspective of different people are going through different things in our lives, and even that includes even our bosses. And so you want to give some grace there, but you also want to help. I would suggest, I've seen many situations that I've thought the assistant knew more than the boss, right? Have you ever been in a doctor's office where you thought, I think that nurse should probably do this instead of the doctor? I just think that there are many times when The person like you, Jeremy, is more experienced. So come on, step up to the plate. It's time to show yourself, to help, and put a smile on your face and be good with this and get this going. Okay? All right. Thank you, buddy. Bye-bye. I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. Hey, here's the thought. I know you can use Google to find a flame retardant Christmas tree, or the answer to the question, is there a special kind of candle that you would use as an ornament? But where do you seek wisdom? There's a difference in knowledge and wisdom, right? Knowledge will help you track down the history of lighting a tree with candles and how that changed once light bulbs were invented. Wisdom will tell you if the old way of doing things is okay, or if there just might not be a better way of doing things than actually lighting candles on sap-covered dried pine sticks. Pure knowledge without the wisdom to apply that knowledge in the proper way is not only useless, it can be dangerous. So allow me to suggest wisdomharbor.com. That's wisdom, H-A-R-B-O-U-R, harbor with an O-U-R. Go there now. I am standing there. I will hook you up with a free 5-minute guided tour. And listen, there are so many reasons to become a member of Wisdom Harbor. It's only $17 a month. What are you waiting for? Do it for your family. Do it for your business. Do it for your schools. wisdomharbor.com. Our next question is our daily question. It's from Daily. Hey, Daily.
Hey, Andy. It's the Christmas season, and I'm curious about your gift-giving thought process. What do you think about when buying gifts? How do you find the perfect thing for someone? Another thing I'd like your opinion on, what should I watch out for in giving gifts to children other than my own? Thanks much.
Hey, that is a good question this time of year. Hey, actually, that's a good question any time of year, because I think that gift giving is something that can really build a business. It can build a relationship. I think that the proper gift is just critical. I think it shows heart, it shows thought, it shows dedication, a lot of different things. And so thanks, Daily, for that question. Let me answer the children one first, okay? Because I agree with you. I think that's very perceptive of you to split that out and specifically say, what do I watch out giving gifts to children other than my own children? Because people parent their children different ways. I mean, there's people who don't mind certain things and people who will freak out with certain things. And there's also, I believe, a responsibility we have just to be careful not to show up the parents, okay, or not to put the parents in a strange situation. I remember once, Polly and I were much younger, and we had friends who their child was having his 5th birthday party, and so we went to this 5th birthday party, and we were very excited about it, and as we watched the little boy opening gifts, one of the things that hit me was that one parent had given this child, it was kind of an expensive gift, but it was the kind of expensive gift that required accessories, right? I mean, there were add-ons to this. And as you got farther into it, there were more add-ons and more add-ons. And I remember being kind of aggravated for my friends because they didn't have a ton of money. And I remember thinking, man, just without thinking about this couple put my friends in a tough situation to have their own child go, please, well, why can't I have that? Why can't I get that? Why, it would have been much better that the kid not even know this thing existed, really, because it's just, and it's a toy. It wasn't anything that mattered to life, but it was a cool toy, but it was it was a toy that created odd expectations in the child that the parents were unable and unwilling to fulfill. And so it just put everybody in a weird situation. And they did it inadvertently. I'm sure they did it totally honestly. I'm sure they didn't just sit around and say, what can we give these guys that will just put them on the verge of divorce or bankruptcy? What could we do to just destroy their lives? Now, this used to be done with gift giving. This used to be done, right? Eons ago over in India, a white elephant was considered sacred. You've heard of giving somebody a white elephant? Okay, well, the term comes from a tradition that the pharaohs or whoever they were, these people with so much wealth, if there was somebody that they were mad at, they would give them a sacred elephant, a white elephant. And they couldn't do anything with it. Okay, they couldn't harness it to work. They couldn't eat it. They couldn't take its skin. It was sacred. And so the only thing they could do is to feed it and care for it. And it was the gift of doom, because it would just destroy people's finances. It would destroy their lives. All their time was spent with this stupid elephant and trying to feed this elephant, and all their money to feed the elephant. And it's against the law. You let your family starve before you let the sacred elephant starve. And so it was a gift of doom. And so I think sometimes we can be guilty of not thinking through a gift that we give a child and not thinking through how that's going to fit into the family. It's perfectly fine to give certain gifts, but I'm careful about giving, you see little bitty golf clubs, you see little bitty kid golf clubs, and I'm not talking about toys. I'm talking about they're real golf clubs. They're real golf clubs for kids that are like 7 and 8 years old. Okay, that's a gift a parent should get a child. That's not a gift for an uncle or an aunt or something without parental approval. And the reason is because, number one, it's a gift that if you're going to do it right, then they're going to have to get more clubs, because he's going to grow out of them in a year. Then he's going to get more and then more. And this is going to go all the way until he's 17. This is going to cost a lot of money. All right. Golf is not a cheap sport. I don't care. Somebody says public courses. I don't care. It's just not a cheap sport. Okay. Time-wise and equipment and all, it's just not. And so I think, this is just my opinion, but I think that's a parent thing. The parents got to be involved in that. And so they're just, things like that. And we always tease about somebody, hey, I'm going to destroy your life. I'm going to give your kid a drum set. That's for brothers and sisters to do to each other. All right. But you're right, Daly. We should be careful with that. Now, let's go to a much more fun topic, which is gift giving with just each other, with our spouses, with our clients, with our supervisors or bosses. I am of the opinion that if somebody thinks about something and really gives me something that they've thought about or they've had made or that they've made themselves, it's so much better. It's just so much better. There is a time in kids' lives, and thankfully my boys are past that time. They're 20 and 17. Austin's 20, Adam's 17. But when they were about 12, 13, 14, man, they're guys, so 15, 16 probably too. But, there's a time where all of December passes, and then on the afternoon of the 24th of December, it's like, hey, I got to go get mom something for Christmas. Hey, I got to go get dad something for Christmas. And even the next day, you're opening up your gift and you realize that somebody's run through Walmart really quick and and just grabbed something because they knew they had to give something to you, but they didn't really think it through, didn't think about it. There wasn't a lot of thought put into it. And so we don't want to be guilty of that as adults, doing that with each other. And so gift giving can be something that can build businesses and it can build relationships only if you use it the right way. So find out what it is. Find out what somebody has. Find out what it is that defines them or that is them, or, because you're going to be giving gifts the rest of your life, for retirement parties, for birthdays, for Christmas, for just so many different things. I'll tell you a couple of ideas, tell you a couple of gifts that Polly and I have given that we have really, really, I remember so much more the gifts we have given than I do the gifts we have received, even though there are some gifts that we received that are just unbelievable. Now, let me tell you, Tyler and Mary Ann are like my favorite cousins. They're just the most wonderful part of my family, and they're just awesome. And they live in Georgia, and there's like best friends. They're brothers and sisters to Polly and me. They're parents to Polly and me. They're just awesome people, and they are, awesome people can do awesome things. They can think of awesome gifts and this kind of thing. So they gave us, I wish I could, Matt, can I show a picture of something? Is there a way we can link a picture of something? Okay. Because they had a book. It took a book, and somebody, I don't even know, these are these kind of things that you go through. I don't know. I guess you go through craft fairs or something, and you see somebody who can do a certain thing. You go, hey, come here. I want to pay you to do this for my friend or something. And, but in any case, they found and had made this book where if you open the book, whoever does this took the pages of this book and folded them all down in a certain way that when you set the book down, the folded pages spell out persist. I don't even, you're going to probably have to look at this to even understand what I'm saying, because I still don't know how she did it, but I'll take a picture of it, make sure you have it. It is unbelievable. Now, we like to think with Tyler and Mary Ann, we like to think about how to give them something that'll make them laugh, or how to make something make them scream, or we just love them to death. And now, let me tell you this. Tyler and Mary Ann are the best Scrabble players in the world. I mean, they're just will beat you unmercifully into the ground. Tyler was in Vietnam, and so Mary Ann would send Scrabble boards over, and he and the guys around at some times would play Scrabble. And so he got really good at it. And so as they have gone through their whole married life, they've been married, I don't know, 100 years or something like that. And they have played Scrabble, and they've gotten really, really good at it. And just horribly good, to where they can just do it backwards and just stick the little tiles in your face. And so on their retirement party, I went on eBay and I found where you could buy just thousands of tiles, of Scrabble tiles. I don't know what people do with them, but I knew what Polly and I intended to do with them, and that was that we glued Scrabble tiles. We wrote a letter, a love you note to Tyler and Mary Ann in Scrabble tiles, and did it in the Scrabble form where it all connected to each other and all, and had it framed in a shadow box, and that was our gift. And so the idea of giving a gift that there is thought behind, that is a one-of-a-kind thing that can be framed or that can be made, or generally these things are not expensive, okay? But the beauty of them is that when somebody gets something like this, their friends do not come in their house, see it, and go, oh, yeah, I know so-and-so has one of those. I mean, they just go nuts. It's like, oh, my gosh, where did you get this? And so that's why I think, Austin, Matt, with his knives, austinlegacyknives.com, he builds knives that are one of one. And from pocket knives to kitchen knives to chef's knives to fillet knives, hunting knives, skinning knives. I mean, all the, paring knives, different kind of knives. And so he will take a kind of wood or a piece of wood from somebody's past, part of granddaddy's old desk or a piece from the old baseball bat or something like that. And he will stabilize this wood and incorporate that into the knife. And so it's like when somebody gives us like, hey, when you use this, it was made out of granddaddy's hammer. So when you use this knife in the kitchen, just know that was in granddaddy's hand. It's an amazing thing. So amazing, one-of-a-kind thing. So if you have a business that you can market as a gift, as a one-of-a-kind thing, that's great. But if you are a gift giver like I am, you want to find those one-of-a-kind things because it's just, I've told Austin before, I said, buddy, you're not marketing a knife. What you are marketing is the look on that person's face when their loved one puts in their hand something that has been passed down for generations. That's what you're wanting to let people know, that there's an experience to be had with the gift. So Daly, thank you so much for the question. I think it was a great one. And I am the professional noticer. So ladies and gentlemen, if you appreciate this podcast, I would sure appreciate you going to iTunes and giving us a nice review. A 5-star, slip another star in there, 6 stars if you want to. For Matt, that would be good, right? 6, yeah. Matt says 6. So you can only review a particular podcast on iTunes one time. And so if you haven't already done it, please make today your day. Okay. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing the mental energy I have, tiny bit though it is, for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, smile while you talk, shake hands with the kids you meet, and make sure you have an answer to the question, if you're supposed to take 2 cold medicine capsules every 8 hours, and you only take 1, does it work half as well for 8 hours? Or for half the time, only 4 hours? And so until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme, written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. All toboggans are cast and crew, provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by our old friends at flatbedsalads.com. Just in time for the holiday season, flatbedsalads.com is releasing a new line of product based around some of the most iconic and often delicious animals of the season. Throw that can of Chef Boyardee in the trash and reach for the delectable taste of reindeer ravioli. While these reindeer ravioli do not actually contain Donner, Dasher, Prancer, or any of their other specific flying mates, the ravioli pockets are prepared by laying sheets of pasta across the bare tundra and a layer of meat, let's call it beef, is smoothed out across the pasta layer, and then a top layer of pasta is added. Our reindeer, with their high-precision hoofing, stamp down the layers and produce a perfect ravioli pocket in the shape of a reindeer hoof. In addition, we're now offering polar bear pasta. What could the polar bears be doing to produce this special pasta, you say? Well, nothing. Because this pasta is actually made with polar bear, and we think you're going to love it. Also, be sure to ask about our narwhal nuggets. That's flatbedsalads.com. Now, with more than just salads for the holiday season.